Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What is up? It's your casual gamer dad, Gurok here, coming out with my first video in 2022. Was that what year this is? Yes, 2022. This is not a Skyrim video like I promised, and my audio is really wonky. I really need to get a new microphone, but just bear with me on this. I apologize. Let's just get this intro out of the way. We're going to come at you with some Final Fantasy XIV content, obviously, as you can see on my screen. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing just a general review of the Endwalker expansion content. Now, just as kind of like a precursor message, I guess, just about everything I say in this video is going to be purely my opinion. And I'm gonna not comment on things that I don't do, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, the Savage raiding scene sucks this expansion, because I don't raid Savage, and I probably never will raid Savage anymore, so I won't comment on it. I mean, I hear it's fun, I hear it's great, but I have no standing to do it, so I won't be commenting on stuff like that. Rather, instead, I'm gonna be basically just reviewing like the main story content, the dungeons, general design of the zones, the music, armor designs, you know, just general stuff like that, and how I feel it compares to Shadowbringers and, you know, previous expansions all the way back to AR. I'm not going to do a one-on-one comparison for each one because that would take too much time. But so without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. We're going to start with the music. Now, it's my opinion that Salkin is a genius. He's an amazing artist. He's absolutely phenomenal, and he nailed it with Endwalker. The main Endwalker theme, Footfalls, is absolutely amazing, and Close in the Distance is like probably by far my next favorite track out of all of them here. But just about every zone I've been in, every dungeon, every instance, everything has just had amazing music to it, and half the time I don't play MMOs with music on, so the fact that I play 14 with the music on says something about that. How does it compare to Shadowbringers? I would say it's up there. Like, Shadowbringers and Endwalker have some of the best music, and then I would say comes Heaven's Ward, and then A Realm Reborn, and then, you know, Stormblood's down there at the bottom. I don't talk much about Stormblood. That was a weird time in my life. I wasn't really sold on Stormblood. It really wasn't my favorite expansion, so I just kind of pushed that off. So we won't talk about Stormblood. But the music is tip top. I love the music. The main story quest, I usually don't do many side quests. You can see up here on my mini-map, I probably have a ton of them. I don't really do side quests unless they're like story relevant or they're going to unlock something cool. I usually either save them for alts or I just do board. So that being said, judging the main scenario quest, now I'm not going to give any spoilers, I'm not going to shout out what it was all about, how it ended, but I think Endwalker's story was good. It was very good. I think it was a good end to our journey. You know, how long has it been? Like 7 years or so journey. And it was a good way to end the whole Hydaelyn Zodiac, you know, arc. And I will say I'm very eager to see where we go moving forward from here as the Warrior of Light. I think that's going to be really fun to see. How does it hold up next to Shadowbringers? Okay, so in a like a quote-unquote tier list of favorite MSQs, I'm gonna have to say it's like Heaven's Ward, Shadowbringers, and Endwalker are kind of like tied for number 2, and then A Realm Reborn, and then Stormblood. Endwalker is very good. I feel I got more emotion jerked out of me from Shadowbringers than I did Endwalker, but Endwalker wasn't like, oh, it's so sad, oh, it's so emotional. It was just like, oh yeah, like, no, this, like, it gave me a feeling of closure. And plus, one of the ending cutscenes straight up gave me the one thing I have been wanting since I started playing the game, and I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it. I might talk about it in a stream if people ask, but it's just something that if you know me and you've heard me talk anything 14, you'll know there I have like one really big, giant, major gripe with like all of the cutscenes, and I finally got it. And I know there's some big, long explanation why they can't do that, but I'll get into that in this video. The story's great. The story is good. It's on par with Shadowbringers, I'll give it that, but not as good as Heaven's Ward. Heaven's Ward is still my favorite. So next we're going to go into zone design. I think all of the zones, you can see I'm over here in Old Charlatan right now. All of the zones look amazing. They all look great. I always have like a one favorite zone in each expansion. For me this time around it was Elpis. Elpis was absolutely my favorite. It's like just hands down my favorite zone. It was vibrant, it was colorful, it was open. It wasn't a pain in the butt to traverse. And none of the zones actually were really a pain in the butt to traverse, and I appreciate that. Like, even without flight, you know, like in Heaven's Ward when they first introduced flying, it was kind of like some zones you could tell that they were designed with areas meant for after you got flying, and it just made it kind of janky and not fun. But all of the zones in Endwalker were very well designed. I absolutely loved them. Loved them. Very good art direction going on there. I'll go into the longest section now, which is going to be one of my favorites, and that's the armor design. So we're gonna start with like the crafted / quest reward armor that you can get, and I'm gonna say I was disappointed. With the exception of the level 81 armor, and I mean at least for tank jobs. I don't know about DPS jobs. I can check here. Yeah, it looks to me like the level 81 set is kind of unique. It's kind of like a new look. All the rest of them are copy pastas. They are just reskins of like PvP gear or previous dungeon gear, and it was kind of disappointing for me, but at the same time, like, I think sacrificing cool and like new looking, you know, quest reward gear or gear that you can just craft at any time on a crafting job is like okay if you're putting more thought and creativity in like the dungeon sets and the endgame gear. And the dungeon sets all they all look good. I'm gonna say that they look good. None of them really tickle my fancy. Now granted, I've only really paid attention to the tanking stuff, you know, if you excuse the noise here, but even so, like, I still, they're very well designed. They're just not, like, none of them really were like, oh, I gotta have that, for, like, even just glamour, I gotta have it, right? So, but the dungeon gear was nice. It was very well designed. The job gear, let's see if I can go somewhere kind of quiet. Not really. But the job gear, obviously, as you all know, you can see right here, I have been simping very hard for this set right here. The job gear for Warrior is now #1. It is my all-time #1 favorite AF set for Warrior. Like, and then A Realm Reborn comes after that, and then I would say, like, probably the Brutal set from Stormblood, and then Ravager from Heaven's Ward, and then, you know, but yeah, the boys set from Shadowbringers is on the bottom because I just didn't like that set. The axe was cool, but here in Endwalker they nailed it. The axe looks amazing, the set looks amazing. It's gonna be very hard for me to glamour off of this for any reason whatsoever. Oops. I'm gonna mute my in-game sound because it's getting too loud here. I'll just turn that down. Um, yeah, and I think that holds true with just about every job gear that I've seen, that I've previewed or looked at pictures of, anything like that. I think they all look very well. Some of them I'm not a fan of. Like I don't really like the monk gear, but it is well designed. I do think that it's a good set. It's just not my personal favorite. Um, then we're gonna get into the tombstone gear. Let's do that. So tombstones of aphorism, they're your like endless tombstones. They're the new poetics for top level gear, and the weapons, um, they look okay. You know, they're all right. I understand they're fitting a certain theme. They're playing off of Final Fantasy. I can't remember, Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy IV. It's one of those two. I know they're playing off of one of them to get the designs from. But I mean, like the weapons look okay. I probably wouldn't glamour any of them personally, but they are well designed. And the armor, again, it's fitting that like theme. You can see the chest plate here for fending or striking. It's all setting that like certain theme. So they're okay. They're good. I like them. Pretty good. I don't really have anything else to say. Now, Tombstones of Astronomy, these are our capped tombstones. These came out with the latest patch where Savage Raid was released, and this is what you get like 450 of every week. And you get all these like top notch, similar to raiding gear. So you have the weapons. Um, they all look they look pretty good. They look good. I'm not gonna lie, I like the design of pretty much all of them. I'm a little bummed out about all the monk weapons being these big bulky or like tonfa like things. I really want more just bare fist like knuckle dusters type stuff. But that's personal preference. But these all look good. They all look very nice. Now I'm gonna now after all that gushing I did about the warrior job set. Yeah. Now the fending set, you gotta see this. It is like, oh, that's me. Fending. Here we go. Look at that. We're dragons. We turn into dragoons. Basically, everybody's a dragoon, and this is like it's gonna be hard for me not to display this gear. It's got a little visor effect. Like look at that. That's so cool looking. I can't get over it. It's gonna be hard for me to not want to wear this stuff. Like the striking stuff looks good. I didn't check out the helmet. Let me see the helmet. Yeah, like look at that. Oh, so good, so nice. So that's definitely like winner chicken dinner in my opinion. Now we're gonna go for the raid gear. The raid gear. Now, if you're planning on raiding Savage and you haven't spoiled the weapons for yourself because you want them to be a surprise, don't look. Turn away for the next like 30 seconds. But so this tier of raid is very like Greek or Roman themed, sort of, and the armor reflects that. I mean, you can see most of. I display the chest pieces primarily because that's like the focal point of everybody's like first impression is the weapon and chest plate. So you can see here they're all like very flowy robe type things. Some of them look good, some of them don't. They are well designed. It's just not, again, it's not my cup of tea, but I think they're very well designed. I think the gear design is good so far. And then, of course, you have the weapons, which, I mean, they're all just like pure white, kind of glowy, just weapons. I mean, they look good. They look good. I'm very excited that warriors have a hammer. So like, we now have two hammers that we can glamour in the game, and I appreciate that. I like being able to crack some skulls. You know what I mean? Um, so overall, I think so far the gear design is very good. A lot of it doesn't suit my personal tastes, but that's just me, and that's okay. It doesn't have to suit my personal taste. I think the overall is that it's very good, and they all look nice. Um, so the last thing really is just gameplay, general gameplay. And this is kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone who has played Final Fantasy XIV for any extended amount of time will agree with me on this. And that's that, oh, my audio is kind of weird, I apologize. But basically, um, Square, Yoshi P and his dev team, they basically came up with a formula for game content and what everyone has available to them to do, and they stuck with it. Like, they put it all in motion in a Realm Reborn, and they just nailed, glued, and riveted themselves to it, and they haven't changed. And you know what? It's a good thing, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got dungeons leveling up, you got dungeons at endgame, you got PvP, you got raiding, you got trials, you got extreme trials for those that want like a similar Savage Raid experience, but just like one boss. Um, you got gathering, you got crafting, you have the whole market ploy thing. You got Housing Savage, which is a game that I played for about 3 months and then said screw this. So I'm just waiting for the lottery system on that. But that's a whole different video. Yeah, I mean they've got a lot. They got a lot for everybody. And when you start feeling like, man, is there anything else that I can do? Like, sure there is. Look at all these jobs. Level them all up. Get them all up there. If you don't like them, don't play them. But if you're interested, level it up. Play it. You know, do it. So they got a lot to do, and it's been a formula they've had forever. So I don't know if I can really count this to the overall like review or critique of Endwalker as a whole, but just as Final Fantasy XIV, like it's a tried and true formula and it works and I enjoy it and it's great. It's good for casuals, it's good for hardcore players, it's good for everybody. Everybody's happy. So don't change it. Don't ever change it. Keep it as it is. There's a lot of gameplay here. You just gotta look for it and do it. That's all. So my overall thoughts on Endwalker is it's a good expansion. It's a great expansion. Um, I felt a little more pulled in by Shadowbringers just by a little bit, by a little hair, and obviously same thing with Heaven's Ward. But I do feel like Endwalker is a good, solid expansion. I'll be playing this in my free time a lot till probably the next expansion. So definitely if you have been thinking about getting into 14 and you're not sure, or if you've like done the free trial and you got through Heaven's Ward and you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to purchase the other three expansions and go full time, like, if my word means anything to anybody, do it. Do it. What do you got to lose? There's a lot here. It's fun. You got cool looking armor, cool looking weapons, good gameplay, good story, good music, cool looking zones. Like, just do it. It's worth it. It's worth it, in my opinion. It's definitely a good expansion. Not the best, but it's great. It's still great. So, um, that's all I got for you guys. I mean, I hope if anyone was on the fence about going upgrading up to Endwalker, I hope this switched your mind because it's good. It's good stuff. So I will sign it off here. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to watch and listening to my rambling on about this game. And I'll see you guys in the next video.